I am very pleased to be able to introduce our guest speaker. I feel very honored today, and grads, you should as well. Terrell A. Blount is a motivational speaker, mentor, activist for both prison reform and civil rights. His passion for these issues is reflected in his work professionally and personally. While a student at Rutgers University in 2011, Terrell co-founded the Mountain View Project Student Organization, or MVP, whose mission was to increase public awareness and student-led activism regarding issues within the criminal justice system, the first of its kind in the school history. While serving as president of the student organization, Terrell helped bring to campus New York's bestseller author Michelle Alexander, where he delivered an opening remarks speech preceding her keynote in which Ms. Alexander proclaimed in front of the sold-out audience, "Terrell, I am claiming this now. You will go on to do great things in life." Terrell took these words and ran with them. After graduating with a bachelor's and two majors in communication and African studies, he assumed the role as career development specialist at the Occupation Training Center in New York City, serving men, most of whom were formerly incarcerated, and all were classified as homeless. He later served in a similar role in his hometown of Newark, New Jersey, where he assisted men and women returning from prison or jail in securing employment, educational opportunities, before accepting a position with his alma mater, the Rutgers University, to work as a program coordinator for NJ STEP, a program that helps formerly incarcerated people gain acceptance into college and graduate with a 4-year degree. In his first 3 months on the job, Terrell coached a dozen newly released men and women into the program, while recruiting and mentoring hundreds of others in New Jersey prisons to place inside the prison to college pipeline. Mr. Blount is also a board trustee of the Petey Green program, which supports correctional institutions by preparing volunteers, primarily college students, to provide free, quality tutoring to support the academic achievements of incarcerated people in New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, and Pennsylvania. Terrell now serves as the program associate for the Vera Institute of Justice in the Center on Sentencing and Corrections, where he is an expert on post-secondary education for people in prison. His main objective is the Second Chance Pell Pilot, which aims to support post-secondary education for people in prison by developing and strengthening college and corrections partnerships. The use of the Pell Grant under this initiative has allowed for 67 colleges and universities to expand access to college to over 10,000 prisoners in 28 states. And I am very proud to say that Lee College is one of those 67 colleges that was invited to participate in this initiative. And we're going full head of steam with the Pell Grants for our students. So please welcome Terrell Blount, your commencement speaker for 2017.
I might just need this maybe. Yeah, this should be good. Appreciate that. Good morning, everyone. I'd like for us to first give thanks to the higher power or spiritual being that you believe in that has allowed for your presence in this room today for such a ceremonious occasion. I'd like to thank Dr. Dennis Brown, president of Lee College, as well as the Lee College Board of Regents and Lee College staff for such meaningful work that you continuously do in providing incarcerated students in Texas post-secondary education opportunities for over 50 years. to the wardens and correction staff and TDCJ overall for allowing me to enter these walls today, and also for your continued efforts in collaborating with colleges in the state and serving students behind these same walls and other facilities within this state. Thanks to those who seldom receive the credit that they deserve, the families of the incarcerated, for your dedication in supporting your loved ones throughout this experience, good times and bad, which I am sure means the world to them. And last but certainly not least, the people who are directly impacted by incarceration, our graduates, which I understand have traveled from 6 other units to be present here today, anxious and deserving to move on to the next phase in their lives. Phase. A phase is defined as a stage in a process of change or development. We all go through phases of some sort from the time we enter this world. You start as a newborn, you move on to an infant, and then you have the toddler phase. In academia, you may start off as a student, move on to a tutor, and then maybe later on a teacher. In the NFL, you may start off as a playoff contender. Hopefully you move on to become a Super Bowl champ. And after that, you have roster cuts out the wazoo, and then you enter a rebuilding phase. And depending on who your GM is and your owner, that rebuilding phase can be a very painful one. But nevertheless, they are phases. And whether or not they bring us joy or cause us discomfort, regardless, if at the time they appear to cause disruption or seemingly work against the execution of our plans, as long as you keep in mind that it is only a phase, it is therefore temporary, never permanent. 10 years ago to this date, I was preparing for the next phase in my life, which was becoming a full-time college student for the very first time. I was a little over a year away from beginning my first semester and hadn't even been accepted yet. But I had a plan to graduate from college and that it was going to be specifically through Rutgers University. Now, you see at the time, this was laughable to many because to them, I was no more than inmate number 897110C. They didn't look at me and see a scholar, they saw a convict. They couldn't imagine me in a cap and gown because what they saw was state-issued clothing, the same as they were wearing. And I don't suspect that this was with malicious intent to put me down or discourage me from achieving my dreams. Rather, it was ignorance and lack of understanding that we were all living within the moment, a part of a phase of all of our lives that was temporary and did not have to be permanent. Now, it would be negligence on my behalf to project this idea that everything I went after was so easily achievable. That was not the case. There will always be some bumps in the road, some slips and some falls, but one of the many lessons I've learned throughout my short journey is that resilience will always defeat defeat. In my freshman year, I failed a math course twice before receiving a passing grade on the third try. I had to learn how to study. I had to learn how to ask for help. And most of all, I had to learn how to learn, especially in the subject that I was not strongest in. In the fall semester of my sophomore year, I was hospitalized, causing me to miss a few weeks of classes that without a doubt set me back. I stubbornly refused to withdraw from the semester, passing 2 courses and failing 2. The following semester, I took those same 2 courses in addition to my regular course load and wound up receiving an A and a B in those courses. In my junior year, I witnessed the birth of my son, who I named Justice. And his arrival, as precious as he is, was yet another obstacle I had to juggle and had to face during my academic studies. There is always going to be something. Each year that happens to you. It happens to each and every one of us. That is a given. It can be physical, it can be mental, it can be a financial crisis. Things will happen, I promise you that. But it's how you react and respond to those things that happen that defines your character and builds the strength needed to take on the next problem that the universe throws at you. Graduates of Lee College, when you leave this space today, I want you to think about this question. Are you waiting to go home, or are you preparing for your release? They are not one and the same, and in no way are they synonymous. My peers who scoffed at me 10 years ago and laughed at my vision, they were the ones in prison that were just simply waiting to go home, while individuals such as myself was preparing for my release. Many of you who are graduating with an AAS degree, an AA degree, some of you will also go on to graduate with your bachelor's and master's degree, and some will go even further than that. Some of you will go on to become entrepreneurs, businessmen, inventors, investors, and managers, while others will go on to work for an organization or company and may very well stay at a mid-level position, not because they are afraid or are incapable of performing well in it, but because you've been through one of the most cruel and stressful experiences a human can be exposed to in this country, and as long as your family is taken care of, there's food on the table, there's clothes on all of your backs, your bills are not past due, and your bank account does not dip below zero, you're completely fine with that. And if you're happy, I'm happy, because at the end of the day, the main goal is to leave these doors, leave these walls, and never return, doing whatever it takes to never return within confines of the law. Remember, there will always be something that tries to get in the way of your dreams, goals, and aspirations. But class of 2017, I challenge you that when you are hit with that something, you do not simply get up, but you rise. You rise to the occasion of achieving more than anything that your naysayers or even yourself could have imagined. You rise above the critics who believe you don't deserve a second chance, a third, or even fourth chance, and I would like to make the argument that many of us have never received the first chance in the first place. Rise because every morning leads to a new day, and although we cannot control time, we refuse to let time control us. You move at your own pace. Rise because when you are released, you are not an ex-offender, you're not an ex-convict, an ex-inmate, or an ex-prisoner. You are a person who serves a purpose on this planet and will continue to rise above each and every level that you ascend to until there is absolutely nothing else for you to rise above. And then you rise again. Thank you.